Our humble idea was of showing that I guess you can say that science comes from scientists. Matter comes from life, and science comes from the scientists. Sometimes we forget that. It seems science seems to be something self-subsistent as a matter of what nature manifests to us. But it's really what the scientists extract, how they understand nature. That is what we call science. Nature has her own secrets as she reveals herself to us. But the way science has proceeded is to kind of impose a particular straitjacket over nature, which it constrains nature to conform to. That is not the way of proper science, of course. Sometimes it works, but most of the times it doesn't work, actually. For instance, in this matter of life, the origin of life, the scientists want to say that nature or matter produces life. But this is not what nature tells us. Nature all around us tells us that life comes from life. It may appear to the scientific perspective that life is a result of a combination of material elements. But there is no actual evidence that has ever been developed to show that that is the case. We haven't been able to make a mosquito, or as I always say, a blade of grass with the chemicals that are available to us. So why to force upon nature something that is not there? So real science has to take account of what we observe in nature. And we observe not only matter, but the most interesting part of nature is the life, the biological life, or the other forms of life. Besides biological life, there is also the cultural life of human beings. That is a distinct feature of human life. To have culture, to have literature, to have philosophy, religion, etc. Now, these things are also there. We call that part of our reality. But where is the room for that in atomic studies? Right? So anyhow, an objective and open-minded consideration of what is there, what is in our reality, beyond nature, what we might call merely nature. I think cultures are kind of like a second nature or a spiritual nature that is not found there in the original, in the nature we generally refer to as the world. So room has to be made in our thinking for these things too. And they should not all be reduced, this word reductionism. They should not all be reduced to atomic and molecular actions and reactions. We have to consider things in a broader perspective, more philosophical as well as empirical way. Philosophical means in a thoughtful, rational way. Thought and reason are also part of science, but they are hardly ever investigated. And so it's important to understand this. And I think the topic of artificial intelligence versus natural intelligence may help, if we think about them, to shed light on some of these things that we mean by intelligence that is absolutely necessary to create what we call science. That is also a very important part of human life. Practically, it is the thing that distinguishes us from all other forms of intelligence and all other forms of life, is human intelligence. It has a very special significance that we don't find in any of the other life forms on this planet or in this universe. Anyhow, I just want to express my humble gratitude and my humble obeisances to those who have brought me to the point in life where I am. First of all, my original spiritual master, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and then my Shiksha Guru, Srila, and Sannyas Guru, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Swami Maharaj, and the affectionate guidance and encouragement of our Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, and the enthusiasm of our Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj, who always inspired us with his intense serving spirit. And to all the dear devotees who are here, and to all the scientists who have helped or have participated in making this conference significant. All of you are very important and part of our efforts. And one of the things that science has kind of misdirected us in is trying to focus too much on the individual things, on the individual persons, or on individual particles, called the atomic idea, economic conception of life. We're a part of a whole. We're a part of our community. We're part of the environment. Have an independent status in any of those instances. And to neglect that wholeness or wholesomeness is a very significant mistake that we're making if we think in that way. Somehow, an integral relationship exists between each individual and the whole or the community of which he is a part, the environment of which he is a part, or he or she is a part. And to be able to have that consciousness, that within our consciousness, that wholeness within our consciousness, as a not only an extra part, but as the main part of our thinking. And that is a very important conception to hold. We are part. Mm-hmm. And Veda has always emphasized this point, that the central point is that the whole is there, and the whole is not impersonal either. It has to do with our personality. It has the most significant contribution to our own individual personality. And that by neglecting that wholeness, that whole personality, complete whole personality, as Krishna Kesava mentioned in his invocation, that complete whole personality of which we are also an emanation, a whole also within ourselves. But the whole that we come from is greater than the whole that we are in our own self. And that is infinite, and we are a finite whole. I think Cantor would explain this in his mathematics of the infinites, how infinites can come from infinites, and one will be greater than the other. So these is a very important way to develop our thinking about what's going on in our life today in a very scientific and systematic way. Anyhow, I don't want to go too far into this, but my gratitude and obeisances to all our forefathers, our predecessors, and all the current participants. My humble dandavats to you all. My humble obeisances to you all.
At the outset, I offer my respectful pranams, dandavat, to His Holiness Sripad Puri Maharaj, particularly on this auspicious day of his holy appearance on this earth. He has been a pioneer in spreading this message. In fact, I would say it is of an Indian culture that consciousness is the ultimate reality. Consciousness can be named as Brahman, and Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Everything is a consciousness and manifestation of consciousness. This is the Indian spirituality, which says that from one ultimate reality, all multiplicity arises. And therefore, it is that supreme consciousness which is to be recognized as the ultimate reality. An implication of this is that it is not the matter which is the ultimate reality. Matter is an epiphenomenon of a consciousness. And the Satta is Chitta. The reality is consciousness, and this consciousness gets manifested in Ananda. So Satchidananda is the nature of reality, and therefore everyone in this empirical world seeks happiness, seeks bliss. So bliss is in fact the summum bonum of our existence, and this bliss will come into only if we pay due attention to diverse manifestations of consciousness, including matter. Matter also is a manifestation of consciousness. Matter is usable, matter is serviceable, and we must make best use of matter. And therefore, the Indian culture insists that we should have a symbiosis of both material prosperity and spiritual enhancement, both preyasa and shreyasa. So, His Holiness Sri Puri Maharaj Ji has been advocating this idea in a very clear, concise, and effective manner. And therefore, we are very much grateful to him. He has, in fact, awakened our darkened soul by his enlightening message. And his message will always be there with us to illuminate our mind. So we are grateful to him for this, and we pray God the Almighty to give him a pretty long life in the service of humanity for enlightening our mind. Thank you very much. So I pay my respect again to His Holiness Sri Puri Maharaj Ji.